Well, good evening, my friends. I greet you all today with the joy of Jesus, truly with the joy of Jesus, with the love of the Lord. And not going to be before you long. After I wrap this up, I will be back into my time of, it's really my time to really just be before God and kind of tune out from social media for a little while. And really, it's all about a time of consecration for a mighty work that I see God leading me into. But on today, I could not hold my tongue. I could not keep this to myself. I really was compelled to share this word with the people of God on today. I guess you can define this time that I've been in, or I guess you can define what I have experienced in this time that I've been in, a time of true spiritual, it's a true revival that has taken place in my own life. And as a result, I have been experiencing a true spiritual awakening. Those of you all that know me up close and personal, as passionate as you have known me to be, as passionate as you know me to be as it pertains to working with our young people, and as passionate as you have seen me in worship, believe me when I tell you, I have truly experienced something over this past week or so. I have experienced I've had an awakening, a transforming type experience in my life, and I struggle to even put it into words. And so what I'm going to try to do in my little feeble effort today is to try to verbalize for you what I have experienced over this season of me unplugging, not only from social media. And those of you all that know me know I've been working through some financial stuff, and I've got a financial advisor. His name is Ryan Ely, and we kind of devised a plan on some things. And a part of what I decided to do was I gave up my cable service. I gave up Comcast. I got other means of getting internet, and so I do that. But I gave up Comcast for a budgeting reason, but I also gave up Comcast out of obedience to what I really felt the Spirit of the Lord leading me to do. All of this stuff became nothing but distractions in my life. The news, the television the stuff I was watching on TV, and even social media to a degree began to be a distraction in my life, even though I was trying in my best feeble efforts to use it as a ministry tool. I found out during this season of being unplugged where I was sort of missing some things in my own life, even with my best of efforts. And so I want to share this in hopes that it will truly bless your life on today. So I want to start like this, because this is a song that really, really has ministered to me, and it speaks to the heart of where I'm going in this live session. It's a song written by William Murphy entitled Your Love. I'm not going to sing it. I want to read some of the lyrics. Listen to the lyrics. Open your mind and your heart and allow these words to speak into your life. William Murphy says, I have been touched, changed, healed, totally free from sin. Every shackle broke. Now I can live again. In the pre-chorus, he goes on to say, I've been restored. I've been renewed. I've come alive because of you. And then it goes into the chorus. I have been set free by your love. When all of my sin came between us, it was your unexplainable, unconditional love. And in the end, he says, in your love, there is freedom and no more condemnation. And he goes back into the chorus. I've been restored. I'm talking to myself now. I've been restored. I've been renewed. I've come alive because of you. God, I thank God on today for what God has done in my life. God has been teaching me some things that I thought I knew, that I thought I understood as a man of God. And it pertains to the love of God. And this life lesson, if you will, came to me through a mentoring relationship that I'm currently involved in. And our relationships have had its ups and downs. But just this past week, God dropped something in my spirit, and I knew that there was nothing and nobody but God speaking. And in my conversation with this young man, I told him, I said, man, I want you to understand something. Whether you know it or not, you are a part of something that's bigger than you and I both. It ain't got nothing to do with me. It has everything to do with him. And I said that I'm at a stage in my life where God is teaching me about the true power of his love. For you see, what I've come to believe, and that's, part of why I'm in this timeout season with the social media, with news, and just with everything, is because I can only speak for myself. I can't reveal everything on the day. Number one, because there ain't enough time. But then number two, there are some things right now that's just between me and God that it ain't time for me to put it out there from a public standpoint. But this much I can divulge to you. I am at a place in life where I truly believe that we can recover. We can reclaim our young people. I'm looking for a journal entry. I keep a journal. And on this journal entry, I titled it A Growing Moment. I'm not going to read it in its entirety, but there is some things in here that I really want us to begin to understand. More importantly, I want you to understand where my heart is and what's leading me to make some of the changes that I'm making in my life right now. Because I had, and I'm not going to reveal names and all other stuff, but I wrote this journal entry after I had a kind of a frustrating moment with a young person that I care about a lot. And he said something that, he didn't cuss me out, nothing like that, but he said something that impacted my life in a negative sense. It kind of hurt my feelings. And so I went on to work that day. And this is where I will begin reading. That basically I was in my car and I was driving to work. And as I was driving, I was led to begin listening to some gospel music. And as I was listening to the gospel music, I was then led to begin praying. I began praying for that young man, that God would allow him to experience deliverance in his life, and that God would allow him to succeed so that the naysayers who wrote him off could be proven wrong. But then I prayed for some other young people that were on my heart. But then I was led to not only stop at praying for the young people, I was led to begin praying for myself. And this is what I journaled. Then I began praying for myself, that the Lord would get me beyond my feelings of what this young brother had said earlier. The motivation that led to that prayer for myself stems from the fact that within my heart, I truly believe there is a way to reach this wayward generation and lead them into a better life. The issues involved in today's young generation is deeper than behavior and poor choices. It is mindsets and spiritual in nature. Therefore, of all the essentials needed to reclaim this generation for a brighter future, those of us in this battle must learn the art of dying to ourselves. My mentor, Shirley Prince, taught on this subject, dying to ourselves, on numerous occasions. The Word of God says, I assure you and most solemnly say to you, unless a grain of wheat falls into the earth and dies, it remains alone. And this is the Amplified Version. Just one grain, never more. But if it dies, it produces much grain and yields a harvest. The one who loves his life eventually loses it through death. But the one who hates his life in this world and is concerned with pleasing God will keep it for life eternal. If anyone serves me, he must continue to faithfully follow me, conforming to my example in living and, if need be, suffering or perhaps dying because of faith in me. And whenever I am and wherever I am in heaven's glory, there will my servant be also. If anyone serves me, the Father will honor him. After coming home from work, I'm not going to read the rest of it. My point is this, because what I went on to talk about in the journal entry was, at some point later that evening, I had a conversation with that young man. And that conversation turned into a very surreal moment for me. Because it was in that conversation that I shared with him that the reason this is bigger than you and I both is because I believe God is trying to equip me with a knowledge of his love that goes beyond the norm of what the average believer bases their faith on. Not that I'm better than anybody else. I believe God desires this for all of his people. Unfortunately, many of us, and this speaks to what I shared with this young brother. I said, unfortunately, this is the problem within the church, that many of us have allowed ourselves to become comfortable with a form of religion that on the surface, it looks spiritual. It looks spiritual. But at the end of the day, I've come to realize that it's lacking the power that it really should have. And it's lacking the power because in more cases than not, many of us kind of pick and choose the area of the book that we claim for our lives. It's been through this relationship with this young brother that God has been teaching me that, Richard, you're saved. I got you covered. But I want you to understand, you don't really have a full in-depth understanding of my love. You got a biblical understanding of what the word says about my love. But you lack a real, true, heartfelt understanding of my love. It's been in my relationship with this young brother that God has been teaching me the power of love. And not just this young brother, but all of my mentoring relationships to a degree are challenging me to that extent. And for me, that is the key to reclaiming the lives of our young people. We have to have real, authentic love. Love doesn't operate in the realm of convenience. It wasn't convenient. And this is where the Lord ministered to me. It wasn't convenient. Even though Jesus was the Son of God, it wasn't convenient for Jesus to go through what he went through. The trials that he went through. How they beat him. They whipped him. They placed crown of thorns on his head. They nailed him in his feet and his hands, and they speared him in his side. And he did that out of a love for us. Don't miss this part. He did that out of a love for a people who on our best day don't have the capacity to uphold our end of the bargain. And yet, many of us fall into a state of illusionment because we attend church enough. Because we go to church and we have an experience with God. We dance and we shout and we speak in tongues and we fall out slain in the spirit. And some of us even make the commitment to pay our tithes. And by doing those things, which are good things, by the way, but by doing those things, many of us have fallen into a state of delusionment of thinking that we have arrived, that we are at the place that God would have us to be. And now our only objective in life is just to exist in that moment in God. But when you truly come to a place of understanding the love of God, when you understand it in your heart of hearts, it's the love of God in our lives that will compel us to go out and be a witness. It's the love of God in our lives that will compel us to allow our lives to be the light of the world and the salt of the earth. And so it's the love that Paul speaks about in 1 Corinthians chapter 13 when he says love is patient, love is kind, it does not envy, it does not boast, it is not proud, it does not dishonor others, it is not self-seeking, it is not easily angered, it keeps no record of wrongs. Love does not delight in evil, but rejoices in the truth. It always protects, always trusts, always hopes, and always perseveres. I'm talking about the love of God. When you have a real experience with the love of God, you'll be able to proclaim like William Murphy, I have been touched, changed, healed, totally free from sin, every shackle broke. Now I can live again. I thought I was doing good when I was led to do a time of prayer. But I learned something in my feeble effort of trying to do a great work. And that lesson that I learned is this. It's one thing to be out there trying to do a good thing for all the right reasons. But the thing is this. If all we do is to set out to do great things with good intentions, it turns out in the eyes of people, it looks like busy activity with good intention, but it has no power. It can't change. It lacks the ability to impact people's lives. But when we do something, for something greater than ourselves, let me just cut to the chase. When we understand why we do what we do, when our motive for doing what we do is motivated by doing that which pleases God, when our vision is set on trying to stay focused on God, our actions begin to be transformed into an energy that can revolutionize the world. I know that just sounds like good sermonic talk. I know that sounds like a good motivational statement, because if we be honest with ourselves, we done heard the same things spoken a whole lot of different ways, but it's not in our talking that this change that I'm talking about comes about. It's only as we allow the love of Christ to be manifested through our lives that the glory of God could come down and transform this sin-sick world that we're living in the midst of. I want to read an excerpt from a book that I'm done reading. I'm on to the next book, but it's a book entitled Awakening. I think I've shared this excerpt before, but for the context of this video, I got to read this again. The writer says, there is not a square inch in the whole domain of our human existence over which Christ, who is sovereign over all, does not cry, mine. This message of Christ's glory must also be evident outside the church walls and spill unto the streets of the earth. And by occupy, I don't mean to take over in the sense that we are lifting up some earthly Christian form of government and imposing Christian views and lifestyles on the rest of the population. Rather, we are called to represent Christ and his gospel through our love, our graciousness, and our humility. We are to sacrifice personal preferences and prefer others above ourselves, to truly care about people in our workplace, to truly care about our boss. Wouldn't that be different than the world around us? This is the kind of occupation Christ would have us bring on the earth. We represent Christ well at our job by doing our job well. If you are an artist, create great art. If you are a lawyer, represent clients with truth, integrity, and justice. If you are a preacher, faithfully disperse the truths of God to people and work every week to build your listeners up, not tear them down. If you are a photographer, capture light and lines to the depth that inspires those who see your work. We work with an uncommon diligence. We care about those in our workplace with an authentic love. This gives us a platform to share the grace of Christ within us that enables our uncommon work. We occupy in this way for one purpose and one purpose only, that the glory of God would fill the earth, and that more and more people would experience and know this God of all glory. Let the whole earth be filled with his glory. This grace occupying is not our ultimate mission. John Piper was right when he said, missions exist because worship doesn't. Ultimately, we desire God to receive more and more glory, that more and more people would see and ascribe worth to God for all he has done. David cries out in his final prayer in Psalm 72, let the whole earth be filled with his glory. This is our prayer for our generation. But we also understand that in order for God to fill the earth with his glory, he has to fill us with his glory. Don't miss this. In order for us to occupy all streets for the glory of God, the glory of God has to take up occupation in our own hearts. God wants to fill the earth with his glory because his glory heals the earth. This is what every person on earth was created for. We were made for God. C.S. Lewis said, if we find ourselves with a desire that nothing in this world can satisfy, the most probable explanation is that we were made for another world. And every single one of us finds those unfulfilled desires within us. We were all made for God. We were all made chiefly to experience God's glory. We need God's glory and grace. We need God's grace and glory to fill our weary souls every day, every hour, every minute. With it, we will never be satisfied. I'm sorry, without it, we will never be satisfied. With it, we will never be the same. So I'm here before you all today to let y'all know my life has been changed. I ain't just talking for the sake of talking. Because when I get through with this video, I'm going back into my time of being at the foot of Jesus. Won't be posting no videos, no written posts, no scriptures. I ain't mad at nobody. I ain't got no attitudes about nothing. I feel good. I am blessed and highly favored. However, I have learned what Mary learned. There comes a time we have to unplug from our daily busyness. Even if our business is for the kingdom, there comes a time that we must unplug from our business and lie at the foot of Jesus in order that his glory might fill our hearts. And as his glory and his love infiltrates our lives, we then become equipped and empowered with what we need in order to fill the streets with the glory of God. I understand now that the place that I'm at in life right now, there are some other people that are at that exact same place. But I also understand that the place that I'm at and the language with which I speak may sound foreign, may sound very disconnected from reality in the ears of some people. But at the end of the day, I now have a new resolve. At the end of the day, I now have a greater conviction than ever before that what we need now in this time, we need to experience the love of God now more than any other time in our lives. History shows that I ain't just talking. History shows that this love of which I am speaking of has the ability and the power to transform lives. I shared something online with you before I did this live session. Information about a movie. It's been out there. You can buy the DVD now. The movie entitled Woodlawn. I would encourage you, if you don't want to go rent it, if you don't want to go buy it, check it out. Check it out online. However you can get a copy of it. I want to encourage you to check out the movie Woodlawn. It's not just another movie. This movie is based on a true story. I did the research. I read the quotes of the people themselves who were actively involved during that time. At a time during the civil rights struggle, at a time where it was extremely hard for black folk in Alabama, and yet through the life of one man, God, the love of God, sparked a revolution that will go down in history books as one of the major spiritual awakenings of our time. That it brought together an entire city of people to one high school football game. That at the end of the day, the football game wasn't about a football game. It was about the transformative power of God's love. They said they estimated approximately 42,000 people attended this game. 42,000 people packed out a stadium. Many others turned away because they couldn't get in. They said had they been able to get in, they approximate that approximately over 60,000 people would have been in attendance at a high school football game. And it all began with the life of one man that dared to believe in the power of God's word and dared to believe in the power of God's love. And so I get ready to close this down by just simply saying this. There's some things that I know for myself now. Because this is the other lesson that I learned, that I have reflected over during my time of being unplugged. What we need to understand is this. Many of us don't give it much thought. But part of the reason that we become a prisoner of a religious mindset, if you will, is because what we tend to do is in most cases, I know in my case, when I was young, I was just drugged to church by my mother, who loved the Lord with all her heart. She drug all her children to church. I didn't have a heart for God right then. I didn't have a choice. I had a mama who said, "You going." But God in his infinite wisdom, how he worked through my mother. So this is how we get hemmed up. We buy into a religious mindset that's given to us, even though it's not always a religious mindset. A lot of times, like in the case of my mom, she really loved the Lord. So she was trying to get me introduced to understanding the love of God. I, at that stage of my life, only interpreted it as religion, church, whatever words you want to use. I interpreted it for everything except for what it was. And then over the years, at some point, I walked down the aisle of a white Baptist church that we were attending at that time. I gave the preacher my hand, and I went through the process that we coach people through in church. Give the preacher your hand, give God your heart, and the rest will work itself out. I did that. And what I did not realize at the time, but I have grown to understand now, is that's fine for starters. But at some point, you have to grow to understand that you can't stop at that. Because if you stop at that, all you got is good religion. You got to keep pressing in the thing that you were introduced into until you have, and even though I went through the process, I really believe I was saved at that point, but there was no depth to my salvation. I had no real wisdom and insight about the thing that I had really bought into. And at that stage in my life, I wasn't studying the Word of God. Even though I would go to Sunday school every now and then, I wasn't studying the Word of God. Now, at this stage of my life, I have grown to own this spiritual journey as my own. And so now, the experiences The things that are happening in my life now are happening because, number one, because of the faithfulness of God. Don't miss that. It's because of God's faithfulness that he's allowing me to experience what I'm experiencing right now. But like what I wrote in my journal the other Sunday, I don't want to allow myself to become caught up in experiences with God. I desire more. It's not enough for me to experience a Sunday morning shout. It's not enough for me to speak something into the life of somebody and then it comes true. It's not enough for me to be able to pray for people and see the prayer, see the very thing I've been praying about be manifested. Because I know that the God that we serve is so deep. He's so big. He's so awesome that we can't even begin to fully articulate his greatness in our human vernacular. The God that we serve is so big and so awesome that you can't sum him up in a sermon. The God that we serve is so awesome that he is able to do, as the word said, exceedingly abundantly above all that we could ever ask, think, or imagine. This God, the one true God, the one wise God, who is able to present us faultless. This God is the God that I'm talking about. This is the greater love that I'm talking about. So you will never see me, if I can help it, get on social media ever again. I'll talk about other things. You'll see me talk about sports. You'll see me have fun. You'll see me crack jokes. I ain't saying I'm just so spiritual minded, I ain't no earthly good, but there's a shift that has occurred in my life. There's a shift that has occurred in my life, and God has revealed some things to me, a lot of which I can't reveal to you right now because the timing ain't right now. But I'll give you this much. The God that we serve, he's an awesome God. Because what he is doing is he is taking this life, a life of a man that has really been a misfit for all my life. Never been athletic. Tried to play football, but discovered it didn't like to get hit. Like playing baseball in the neighborhood, but never had the confidence to try it on a team. Like playing basketball in the park, but never developed the real skill and confidence to try out for the high school team. Never was good at anything, but God has taken this misfit of an individual and has done a marvelous work in my life. And from now until the time that I breathe my last breath, I'm going to live a life that's worthy of the one who has loved me with a greater love. And I'm going to continue to utilize this life to encourage other people along their life's journey. I was at work over about 2 weeks ago. A young white lady came up to me that knows me on my job, caught me off guard, pulled me by my arm and said, "Man of God, I want to ask if you would please pray for me and my family. I know that you pray, and I just need your prayers because me and my family are going through a lot." I'm talking about when the love of God transforms your life. You don't have to walk around with the book in your hand. The word says, "Thy word have I hid in my heart." The word will become so intricately a part of our lives that other people will, when they come around us, they won't be able to necessarily articulate it. But when they look at your life, they will see a radiance that's not normal. That's not natural. That's not commonplace. And so I'm convinced that God is getting ready to do something. He's already started doing something. I know he's doing something in my life. And I believe that he's already doing something in our midst in this world. The circumstances of our times is foretelling that there is more going on in our midst than what meets the eye. There's more going on in our midst than racism and sexism and classism and all the other isms of our time. There's more going on than a lack of justice. There's more going on than police brutality. There's more going on than the hatred and the starvation and all of what we see playing out physically in our midst. There's a spiritual warfare that you don't necessarily see with the naked eye. And I declare to you today, now is the time. This is the season for the people of God to step up to the plate and allow our lives to be a conduit through which the love of Christ can go forth and manifest the glory of God in the life of people. Don't talk to me about a good church service. Don't talk to me about a good shout. Don't talk to me about a good church revival. Talk to me about the love of Christ. The love of Christ. My friends, my brothers and sisters, there is no greater love. God bless you all. And I'm going to close with this quote from Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Darkness cannot drive out darkness. Darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that. It's time, my friends. It's past time for us to understand that it's time for us as the people of God to lift up the love of God in such a way that we can experience another spiritual awakening in this time of our lives. God bless you all, my friends. I love each and every one of y'all. I told you, I'm praying for you. I'm praying for you all, and I'm praying for the people of this world. Nobody's safe. Nobody's exempt. Not even a 2-year-old baby. It's time for us to wake up and really go deeper in our relationship with God, so that we come to a place universally of understanding the true power of the love of God. There is no greater love. God bless you, my friends. I'm out.